Okay, we're going to continue with our work on JavaScript, but I wanted to show you, I wanted to redo the, if we're setting up a new web page kind of process, just because it's good to remind ourselves every so often what this actually looks like. So here I am, I've made my web development folder. I've navigated it to here in my Explorer. I'm going to go ahead and add my first file. This is my index.html. And you'll remember we want to do doc type for the first line here. We'll do head. We'll do title. And you'll notice I'm not even typing the brackets now. Now I'm just typing the word I want, and it's going to do a lot of the autocomplete for me. Remember, we wanted to link this to a style sheet. We also wanted a body. And inside, and then we're supposed to wrap the whole thing in HTML. Okay, so what do we do when we do this? You can go ahead and highlight everything, and then, oh no, Command Z. Okay, let me see if I can remember the shortcut for wrapping everything. Let's see. I'm just looking here through my command palette because I think it's here somewhere where you can wrap everything. Here we go. Wrap with abbreviation, and our abbreviation here is HTML. There we go. I wonder, I have to remember what the shortcut is for that. Let me go back to my command and see if it's going to give me, what's the shortcut for using that? There's not a key binding. So we can actually add a key binding if we wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's a good shortcut to have, that wrap with abbreviation shortcut. So if you're looking for that shortcut, you can go here to, and then go to your command palette and type in wrap with abbreviation. It should come up. Okay, so we've wrapped this whole thing in HTML. Now we're going to add something to our body. Let's make it a header1 tag, and we'll say hello world. And once again, we've built out just the basic HTML of our page. Let's go ahead and make a style sheet now. Okay, we've got our style sheet, and we're going to style the H1 header by doing this. And we're going to say color is going to be, make it blue. And if you remember correctly, we got to use these semicolons at the end. But if we open our page now in, I'm going to open it in Brave. You should open it in Chrome. Brave is a Chrome-based browser, so it's fine. You'll notice it's still not blue. We're wondering why it's not blue. Here, let me just go ahead and shrink you a little bit and move you over here so we can always sort of keep an eye on you. If you ever want to tile things too in your screen, you can just long press on the green button if you're using a Mac and do it like that. I actually want these to switch places, so let me go back and do that again. Okay, there we go. I actually want this to be on my left side and this to be on my right. There we go. And I'm gonna have this be a little bit larger, so I just grab this middle binder here. I can do the same thing in here. We don't need that. I can do the same thing in here and just kind of shrink this down. That doesn't need to be as big as it is. Okay, now I can kind of see both things at once. But you'll notice it's not blue. That was my point. So we come in here, and if you remember correctly, we do a link. And believe it or not, I typed link, and it already knew for me that what I was probably linking here is a style sheet. And it was right. So it's amazing when you're working in something like, there's blue. When you're working in something like Visual Code, how much it will be smart about for you and how easy it can make this for you, right? All I typed was link, and it filled in most of this, and I just had to type it what page I wanted. Last thing we were working on is our JavaScript. So we're going to call this script.js. And let's see if at the bottom of our, let's see how smart it is here. We're going to do the same thing. Hit enter. Okay, it didn't do the same thing for us here, but that's okay. We can still do src. And we're going to do script.js. Excuse me. And now we're all set up again. I can refresh this. Obviously, nothing's going to happen because we haven't done anything in our JS yet. But now we're going to. And the thing I wanted to focus on today is strings. So I'm going to start this with a brief conversation about something called types. Types are exactly what they sound like. They are kinds of information variables that we can have in JavaScript. One of those types is strings, and this is essentially strings of characters, right? Lists, maybe it would be a clear description of characters that often make up a word, a phrase, a sentence, what have you, right? They can be lots of things. Then we have numbers. This is pretty self-explanatory. It's anything. It's integers. It's decimals. Anything like that. We also have Boolean, which are called bools. And those are just true or false values. And those are the primary types we're going to do most of our work with. There are others, obviously, and we could dig into it more deeply. But those are the three main types we're going to be dealing with. And I'm going to talk a little bit about strings today and kind of an easier way of working with strings. If you did the challenge that we had at the end of last session, where you figured out a tip calculator, you were already dealing with numbers a little bit and kind of the relationship between strings and numbers and how we move from one to the other. But today we're really going to be talking about strings. So let's start off with a string. We're going to say let name, or let user name. And by the way, you'll notice I'm using, sorry about that. Let me flip back here. You'll notice I'm using underscore here. This is what we call snake case. Okay. And snake case is when you separate all of your words by these underscores. The other option you'll see in some programming languages is something called camel case, where we would write it like this. But in JavaScript, it's more common to use snake case. So we're going to use snake case. We're going to set up a prompt, and we're going to say, please enter your name. Okay, now, if we remember last time, what we did was we then did console.log, and we console.logged your name or favorite color is, and then we did it again, console.log, and we had it log the variable. So let's go ahead and do that again. We'll do all that again. We're going to refresh our page. My name is Mr. Huber. It's not going to show us anything, so we have to inspect and look at the console. And it says your name is Mr. Huber. But that's not a very nice way of printing out that information. We kind of want to put those strings together. Now, in your work with trying to create the tip calculator, you may have already come across what I'm about to teach you, which is called string concatenation. String concatenation is essentially squishing together of strings. What does it look like in JavaScript? Well, instead of doing two different lines, let's try to get this all on one line. And to do that, we're going to use the addition operator, which would be used normally to add numbers together, but it can also be used to squish words together. And we're going to say add username here. And then let's go ahead and put an exclamation point at the end here. Now, I've already put a space in here. Let's get rid of that space for a second and just see what the result is. So we come over here, we refresh. I type in Mr. Huber. I hit enter. And it says your name is Mr. Huber. Right? So that string, that space here is kind of important for making the... Because otherwise, there's nothing about this that'll assume a space on behalf of our user. So you need to put that space in. You could have also done it this way, though. which is not necessarily better, but you could do it this way, where we put a space in between using that same concatenation. You can cat string on top of string on top of string, as many really as you want. We refresh, Mr. Huber, and we see a very nice string printed out. Your name is Mr. Huber. And that's how you kind of can squish strings together. Another way, and sometimes a little bit more readable as code, and one of the things you're going to find is that as your programs get bigger and your programming gets more sophisticated, the ability to make your code readable to other people is actually really important. And this is called string interpolation. It's going to produce the same effect, but I think you'll see right away it's actually easier to read. So instead of doing your name is like this, we're going to go back to your name is, but instead of using quotes, we're going to use something called a backtick. Now, for me, the backtick is right above my tab, but for you, it might be somewhere else. You may even have to hit a secondary button to get the backtick. But this is not a single quotes. This is not a apostrophe. It's a different character. It's a backtick. Mine is on the tilde next to the 1, so look for yours to be there. But if yours isn't there, I can help you find on your keyboard where yours is. And then you do $, and we do squiggly brackets, and we say username inside of there. And then we put the exclamation point outside of there. Now we've gotten rid of all those addition looking operators, all those concatenation operators. And this is just much more readable. And you'll see it's produced the same results essentially, but that's just an easier thing. Oh, when I print this out, it's going to say your name is, and then username is going to go right there between is, space, and exclamation point. So it's just a much clearer way of doing string combining of strings. This is called interpolation as opposed to concatenation. So we have concatenation and we have interpolation, and this is interpolation. The keys with interpolation is just remembering that you need your backticks instead of your quotations, and it's going to be $, curly brace, variable name, curly brace. By the way, this doesn't have to be a variable. This could be really pretty much anything else, right? We could just do your name is 6, right? It'll do math in there. It'll do basic code. So you could put a lot of things into inside of these squiggly brackets and get something that's working. All right. So that is how we combine and work with strings. So with that in mind, here's what I'd like you to do. Your skills check is to write a quick Mad Lib. So ask 3 questions using a prompt. Fill the answers into a short Mad Lib. Okay, so you're going to prompt the user 3 times for 3 pieces of information, and you're going to use string interpolation or concatenation or both, and put those into a Mad Lib-like structure. You know, ask for a proper noun, ask for a verb. If you don't know what a Mad Lib is and you don't quite know what I'm asking, go ahead and raise your hand. I'll pop around and try to describe it to you, but this should be short. Don't make this overly complicated. I just want you to see you use the prompt and use some string interpolation or concatenation as your skill check. All right, great job.